in chess. Today I am playing with black pieces. My opponent with white pieces start with e4 and I begin with e5 and bring out the knight f3. In response, I bring the knight to protect my pawn and he bring the other knight. I bring the other knight to attack the weak pawn, gaining advantage. That bring out the 4 knight opening game, a beginner opening game where player prioritize knight before the bishop game. The opponent bring out the pawn at d3 for making space for the bishop and attack my knight at nf6. I bring out my pawn at d6. He brings out the bishop. In response, I played similar move. He bring the other bishop to protect the knight. In response, I bring the knight to target the knight and bishop. And main idea is to trade the knight, and to my surprise, he brings the other knight, putting pressure to chop the queen off. I bring the pawn to chop the knight. Instead, he takes the pawn with knight. It is a mistake by the opponent, as I take the knight with a pawn. He picks off the bishop and target the knight. I take the knight off to a safe square. Now opponent moves off the pawn to target the bishop and move it to a safe square. He goes on to castle. Now I bring the queen to action. He brings the pawn at a4 to target the knight and I move it to c7. Now I move to castle to connect the rook with the queen. Now it is an inaccuracy to bring the pawn at b5 and I respond with a6. Now I respond with knight to chop off the pawn. He brings the queen into action with main idea to exchange the queen, but I had other idea to block the queen to attack the king. Now we have a passer with the pawn that threatens my king with a checkmate with a rook waiting to attack. Now with no choice, I bring the king in a safe square to protect with rook and queen. He brings the knight, which I felt inaccurate. Now I sacrifice my bishop in surprising attack. The main idea is if he takes off the bishop, I can check him with rook and queen. Now I take off the pawn, no place the king to move. Now I bring the rook and there is a mate in one. I checkmate the king.